and welcome to Nan Loves Food. I am Ann here today with some turkey leftovers. So this is a recipe from my childhood that my mom made all the time when we had leftover turkey, and it was one of my absolute favorites. So I will warn you in advance, this is a very like 1980s Americanized version of curry. We're using that term loosely. I mean, the only thing curry about it is that there's like curry powder. We are essentially making a gravy with half and half and cream and flour and butter, and using a little bit of curry powder to give it that curry flavor. We're just gonna use some leftover turkey meat and I'm actually gonna use turkey stock that I'm using. So last night we had a big turkey, so this is the next night's dinner. I've got turkey stock sitting here in our slow cooker, and so we're gonna use a little bit of that to make our curried turkey. I'm also going to use the Instant Zest rice and grain cooker to make up some rice, and then I will throw some broccoli in a pan just before dinner time. So that'll be our vegetable. So this is a pretty straightforward recipe. If you've already got the leftover turkey, it's like cake. The only thing that's a little strange that you might have to pick up if you don't have curry powder and like half and half or milk on hand is the recipe actually calls for pimientos. I will let you know that when I was growing up, that is something that my mom didn't particularly care to put in there. I think they're beautiful. They add a little bit of red color, but my mom would often use celery or watercress, and you could certainly add those things too if that feels good. So just like a little can of the watercress or a couple of sprigs of celery. So let's get started making this recipe. It'll only take a few minutes, and I'm excited to share it with you. So here is the turkey stock I've got going. I just have the scraps from cooking. I just keep my scrap bin in the freezer, but this is the turkey carcass, all the bones that we didn't use, celery and onions and carrot scraps, some bay leaves, some peppercorns, and some salt. So that is getting all yummy in there. It's been in the slow cooker on high for about 3 hours. I've got it set for 6. All right, we've got butter over here happening. So I am not following the recipe exactly. We're just going kind of with the theme of the thing, but I will have the recipe linked that my mom used growing up. She is a recipe follower, so you can have a taste of my childhood that way, but I'm just kind of approximating. This is probably too much onion, but I don't believe in such thing as too much onion, so we'll go with this. Now that the onions are done cooking, I'm just gonna throw a couple of tablespoons of flour in there, and we are just making a very basic roux, equal parts kind of butter and flour situation, and let that cook up a bit. Now I've taken just a little bit of our turkey stock, and I will gradually add this in and make a bit of a gravy. It is a good time to switch over to a whisk because we don't want any lumpies in our gravy. You can see that I had not yet strained my stock, which is fine. This is home cooking. This isn't professional. I'm just gonna catch those little extra bits with my strainer. Now, if like me, you are not following the recipe, or even if you are, you can follow your own convictions in terms of how thick you want your sauce to be. We will add some half and half to this later, so that will thin it a little bit as well, to just give it kind of that extra creamy goodness. Okay, so that is pretty much our sauce. The only thing we'll need to do is add some salt and pepper to taste. The recipe calls for 2 to 3 teaspoons of curry powder. I'm using the McCormick Organic because that's what my grocery store had. That was my only choice, so that's what we got. Just gonna do a sprinkle there. A good healthy sprinkle. It calls for a cup of half and half. That seems a little excessive to me. So we'll just do a quick glug. I have to tell you, when I was a kid, this really felt like a very exotic meal. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, it's gravy with curry sauce. But I always loved this flavor profile, especially when it's cold outside. It's a very belly-warming dish, for sure. Obviously, you can do this with leftover chicken, or if you've got a rotisserie chicken, this would be great for that too. My store was out of diced pimientos, so I just diced them myself. And now we'll just throw in a couple of handfuls of turkey. So you'll notice I've got white and dark meat here. I like for a dish like this to have the variation of the two, not just one or the other. And this is a great way to use the pieces that don't serve up so pretty on Christmas Day. So make sure to get the little pieces that you left all over the bird and give it a good pick, as we call it. So now we will just coat this in the sauce. Now, like I said, I will serve this with rice, or serve it on top of rice and with some broccoli. And then this is served with some chopped peanuts on top, which I think is a very interesting, festive way to top it. And it really gives it a nice crunch because it's kind of all texturally the same, especially on white rice. So I have my broccoli out here. That will just be popped into the air fryer for about 15 minutes. I just hit the button that has a carrot on it on my kasori. So for the broccoli, I'm just gonna use my trusty Evo olive oil sprayer and spray it with olive oil. I don't get too picky about what I do there. I will shake it halfway through, hitting it with some Lowry's generously. I'm gonna use the broccoli button and push go. I have 1 cup of plain white rice. I have rinsed it thoroughly. Please rinse your rice unless you're making sushi rice. It will make all the difference in the world. If you don't want it like sticky and gummy, rinse your rice. There are very few rules in the kitchen. Rinsing your rice is one of the rules. I'm gonna add some salt, 1.5 cups of water, and we're gonna push the white rice button. All right, so here we are, curried turkey. Like I said, this is probably traditional to no one except my family, but darn, it tastes good. So I did do some tasting as I went, you know, as I made the curry sauce, and it did need a little more salt, so I added that. But in general, it tastes pretty good. That rice cooker, if you do not have a rice cooker in your life, get one. They are so handy. My goodness, it's so easy to just push a button and have perfect rice. I am terrible at stovetop rice. That is a skill that I occasionally get right, but I've not quite mastered, you know what I mean? And with a rice cooker, there's just no need to. So, curried turkey, here we go. The nice thing about using the curry powder as opposed to a curry paste, it doesn't quite smack you in the face like a curry paste can. It's mild, it's creamy, it's hearty, it's filling. The crunch of the peanuts on top is just perfect. So good. You could certainly jazz it up with a little, you know, cilantro or some sort of fresh herb on top. That would be delicious, but as is, I guarantee this tastes nothing like your Thanksgiving dinner, and it is an excellent use for leftover turkey. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, we'd love to have you as part of our YouTube family. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.